One love, God bless. Fire Nelson here, and today we're here to do a Sunday service where I pick a random Bible verse and then we reason upon what is trying to be spoken and what is trying to convey to us. So there's a bunch of highlighted places in here, and I'm just gonna pick a random one and see where we're at. So we're at Zechariah, chapter 14, verse 6 through 9. See? So Zechariah chapter 14, verse 6 through 9. Let's get into it. So, and it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark. Wow, and it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to the Lord, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that in evening time it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living water shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and winter it shall be. In summer and in winter shall it be. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall the Lord be. In that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one. Wow. So that's talking about the days to come, almost the revelation times. We're not at Revelation yet, but the times of the apocalypse, the times of change, when kind of like what we're seeing now with so much environmental changes and floods and glaciers melting, and this is because there's been a disorder to the way that society has been living. There's been a unbalanced to the way that we have been looking at nature. We don't even respect air anymore. It's just something we take for granted. We don't respect water as much as we used to. How many of us turn off the water when we're taking a shower and we're lathering up? How many of us really use majority cold water so that doesn't need more chemicals and things like this? And that's leaking into our body, into our bloodstream as well. These chemicals that are making this water hot. We take many things for granted in this world. And it takes signs like, here it says it shall not be clear nor dark. Well, that sounds like a sign of an eclipse or, a solar eclipse or something like this. Sorry, I've been sitting for like 3 hours. I gotta do a stretch. I always like to do a prayer, then a meditation, and then a little bit of reading, stuff like this before I get on and do a video, because I want to be in the right headspace. But like I said, it sounds like almost like what happens when we get an eclipse or something like this. Lots of things can be explained by science as well. We don't want to completely discredit science, but lots of things can be explained in science. And by explained, I want to say quotations, because what is explained by physicality isn't always the true explanation. What is explained by just scientific data research isn't always the true explanation. We can say that if we get cuts, we will bleed because of this scientific fact and this and that. But truthfully, why do we bleed? No one can truly understand why we bleed And our blood is the same color as animals, fish, all these different species that we think is so different from us. But they can give you a scientific explanation. You see, we've gotten to an era in a society of times where we look at things like the moon going over the sun as a normal day. Get your glasses on and, your eclipse glasses and just check it out, take some pictures and stuff. When truthfully, this is a sign that says, hey, we need to shift and focus more on our true inner self. You see, when the Lord has so many signs, from waters flooding towns and cities and whole states almost, wars, mass wars everywhere, famines and, heat. It's been the hottest year the past couple, few years, honestly, than we've had ever. We have to realize that the signs that the environment is trying to tell us isn't so scientifical always. I mean, we can explain it that way. It should be simple and plain. You pollute the ocean enough, it's gonna cause effects. You destroy so much land, it's gonna cause effects. You kill off so many different species of animals, it's gonna cause effects. You mass producing cows and chickens and sheep and, whatever else meat things people eat. All this mass producing of this is gonna cause effects. All that extra poop in the atmosphere, all that extra, breath even in the atmosphere, it causes effects. CO2 gas making the world warmer and all different types of things mixed with the pollution that we have from our cars. It causes effects. And the more we ignore things, it seems like we have gotten to a point where even a eclipse means nothing to us. It doesn't seem that way. We've gotten to that point where eclipse means nothing to most of us. A flood means nothing to most of us. We're already back blaming this organization and this organization. No, we need to blame ourselves. We need to blame ourselves. If we're not doing the spiritual work to truly uplift people as much as we can, we need to blame ourselves. Not as much as we can, because we need as much time as well that we need to our spiritual practices and things like this, but as much as we can, yeah. We should be making sure that we are aligned and being the person that we need to be to the best of our ability. There wouldn't be so much war if nobody wanted to go to war. If we all said no, every single body in this world, doesn't matter how mad they got, someone's like, hey, you wanna go fight and kill these people? It was like, no, we don't want to do that. Let's see if they want to do it. Let's see that. They're like, no, we're not trying to fight. We'll argue some more. But actually fighting and killing, no. There would be no war. We complicate things, our own selves. And the reason I say it's us is because it starts with us. It starts with our household. Even if you're a kid in the household, it still starts with you. Your parents may not know the wisdom and knowledge you do, but how you react to what they do and what they say is going to guide them either back to love, back to the Lord, back to a holiness of the true self within all of us, that divine light, or it's going to lead them further into a destructive, habitual attitude, a war attitude, a anger-filled attitude, a consumerism attitude. We don't have to wait till the Lord is literally on earth. I mean, the Lord is literally on earth. But we don't have to wait until there's, fire and brimstone and you literally see people and angels start going up into the sky. We don't have to wait until that to change. But it's sadly almost getting to that point for mass society. There's wars, there's floods, there's eclipses, there's earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, all these things. And I would really love to see the data on who is changing, who is truly changing. Seeing that suffering makes me want to change even more. Even if you're not in the suffering, which hopefully you aren't. No one's asking you to go through so much suffering and then immediately change like that. If you can, that's amazing. But I have sympathy and empathy for those who are actually in ground zero, where this, catastrophes are happening, where a flood has happened, where their houses are destroyed, or their family is killed, or their pets are killed, and all these different things that have tragically occurred over these past few months. But what I'm saying is, once the grieving process has gone through, there needs to be a change. It's not as simple as, oh, this just happened, and it just doesn't happen in 20 years, but it's just, what it is. No, there's an unbalance in this whole entire society, this whole entire world needs to focus more and more on coming from a place of true divine light, true divine love, that divine self within, treating others as you would treat yourself, and even better. There's no reason why there should be so much hate, so much separation, so much discrimination, so much segregation, so much, even how we treat our women. These spiritual people, how they treat their women. These religious people, how they treat their women. It needs to be changed. There needs to be an alignment. There needs to be a middle path. You don't have to go all the way, to twerking in the club. But there's a vast middle way from twerking in the club to a hijab, and you have to cover up your whole body. And you can't speak to different people and shake hands with anybody and things like this. The middle path is the way. The middle path is the way that Jesus took. The middle path is the way that Buddha took. The middle path is the way that leads you away from war, away from self-destruction, and closer to the Lord, closer to Yahweh and the Most High's blessings that Yahweh has within you. Yahweh has put blessings within you. Yahweh has truly gifted you with everything that you need. You already are worthy. You already are abundant. You already are successful. You already are loved and loving. But we just have to unlock this in us. See the signs in our environment. See the signs that are going around before it's too late, before we don't have any more time to change in a convenient way, until we're forced to change or perish. mentally, physically, or spiritually. So make the changes now. See the signs that are pretty similar to what is written. And not only this Bible verse, but there's other verses, especially in the New Testament, talking about earthquakes and lightning and all these different things, that align with what is going on now. The sun becoming, or the moon becoming red and things like this. So realize that, yes, many things can be explained with science and things like this, but truthfully, we've over-explained everything in this world. And if we've gotten to a point where floods that haven't happened in centuries, earthquakes and hurricanes and tornadoes, this has just become a normal part of life, then what sign is it going to take for you to wake up? A serious illness, a relationship not working out, a close call with death? We don't want to wait till this to finally change, to finally get back in touch with our true self within. What Jesus Christ was talking about is being one with the Lord, with being one with the whole Creator who created everything you see here, and really appreciating life for what it is, even the suffering, seeing the blessings and the beauty in the suffering as well. But when you align yourself with the way of holiness, with the way of righteousness, with the way of truly living from your spiritual divinity, you never suffer. You never truly suffer. That's why Jesus was able to get up on that cross with no problem, walk right to Jerusalem. Even though that he knew he was walking to his death, he walked right to Jerusalem. So let's get away from suffering in this world. We have to give ourselves up, bear the cross ourselves, and let that old mind frame of society and consumerism and past actions, habits, and karmas fall away. Die with the old self and become reincarnated, truly one with the Lord. So I hope you have a blessed journey. And I hope that you see the signs that the Most High is trying to show you, to give you, to provide for you, to guide you. One love.